read your question. And if I get it wrong, then go to the chat and tell me where I'm off and I'll adjust our answer. So it says we specialize in a few key industries, but partner with many. What is a hot industry or untapped source of new clients? Speaking of trade shows, we currently attend industry specific for those we support. What other types of trade shows should we venture into in the next few years for networking and prospecting? You know, first of all, what's a hot industry? I mean, I can't say that I know one. I can tell you that most of our MSPs support medical and will tell you that medical clients are their high value clients. If you ask them, medical, manufacturing, CPAs, financial services, anything that has regulatory compliance over its head is going to be a good industry, because the more regulatory compliance that is pressed upon these people, it's a gun to the head. They have to do it, like CMMC. If you're doing any work with Department of Defense or, you're touching the government in any way, you're going to have to be compliant or you're going to lose that government contract. So that means these people are going to spend money to make sure they don't lose that business that they're getting. That said, anytime you got a hot industry, you're going to get heavy competition. So, it's not like there's some hot industry everybody's ignoring. Every industry has pros and cons. Obviously, retail is struggling, as restaurants are struggling. Hotels are still struggling. They're kind of coming back from COVID. So there are certain industries that are sort of struggling a bit, but your manufacturing, construction, depending on where you are. If you're in Nashville or if you're in Florida, construction is huge. If you're in another city or an area, other areas, it's not, construction, new construction, housing, retail is not as strong. So I think the answer is there's no real hot untapped industry or source of new clients that nobody's figured out. And every industry has cheapskates and every industry has whales that spend a lot of money. And the other thing you want to think about is not just a mistake I think people make. So they say, well, all right, I'm an MSP. So what's the hot industry? Where do I go? Right. And I get it. It's not a bad question. But what a question you should ask yourself is, what industry should you be in because it makes sense for you? So for example, if you have a background in legal, like you were an attorney, your dad was an attorney, you've worked in an attorney, and you have that expertise, it makes sense that you would target legal entities, law firms, right? Now, if you have a background in medical, maybe that makes more sense, right? So you want to think about not just what industries are hot, but I think what industries are appropriate for you based on your skill set, based on your background, based on your preference. I mean, one of the reasons I chose IT is I have a very similar psychology and makeup and thought process than a lot of MSPs do. So MSPs, when we have other marketers come to our events and talk to you guys give them a headache. They tell me that all the time. Oh my God, you guys are so needy. They want all the details. They want everything, I got to explain everything. See, I get that because that's how way I'm wired, right? So this is a good industry for me. You're selling intangibles, which is my background in selling intangibles. You're selling contract work, which is my background in selling marketing, advertising services, is sold very similarly to IT support services, because you have an advertising firm of contract. You sign contracts, you manage their marketing just like you guys manage IT. So it's very, very similar, selling intangible. And I worked at a couple tech companies in the past, so I know enough to be dangerous. I'm not saying I'm technical, but the acronyms and it doesn't scare me. A lot of marketers just back off it because they get so overwhelmed and confused. So when I chose this industry, it was for a lot of reasons that had to do with not as IT a hot industry, but there was a lot of psychological fit. I had good JV partners. I had good connections. I had background that I could support. And that's why I chose that industry. And I'm very successful with it. And then as far as trade shows, what other type of trade shows should you venture into? It depends on who your customer is. I mean, I can't just say, go wander into trade shows. Although I think it's interesting, if you have local trade shows, maybe just attend some just to sniff around, see what's going on, just to learn what's going on in the dental industry or the auto dealer, dealerships in your area or something like that. So I'm not opposed to attending networking events because sometimes you'll meet people that you won't meet otherwise. Make relationships, find out what trends are going on. But again, it really has to come down to you have to pick who your customer is, who you want to be a hero to, who you would like to work with, who lights you up and gives you energy and where you can do your best work. And then from there, all the other things is where, you know, then the industry, then the services, then the trade shows. All right. Jeff, you agree, disagree?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that of going and where you got to look at where your expertise is too.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. Tito saying, I can see why people don't like us. It's just that, no, I mean, it's funny because we have people who come in and do marketing and, you know, they're not used to dealing with people who are technical, who want details. And I like that about, I mean, I actually want details. Like I wear people out. I want to know everything and I ask every question. And that's not a bad thing. It's just, you know, if you're not a detail person and you're a marketer and you want to do big picture stuff and branding, you know, and someone's going, okay, well, but how does this ad connect in here? And how's the lead come in? And what do I say? And what is the script? And what's the specific email? And all the, you know, a lot of people get worn out with that. See, I don't get worn out with that. So anyway, all right, let's keep going. We got more questions popping up.
Hey,